Hey, what's up everyone, Thunderbob here, and tonight I'm checking out some more Diablo 2 Resurrected Alpha. Specifically, I'm looking at a build that I think I'm going to go with at release of the full game. This is a Meteorb sorceress, one of my favorite builds. I think this character is effective in normal, nightmare, and hell difficulty. I want to show you kind of how I built it out in each of these. So I'm going to split this video up into 3 pieces. So you can see this character in normal, you can see it in nightmare, and you can see it in hell, and how it progresses. In normal, this character is level 19. This is where I ended it in my normal playthrough. And I'm going to show you the level of gear I got. There was no cheating. This is just straight up how this character got to level 20 in Act 2. Got an orb here with Fireball, which this is primarily a Fireball sorceress in normal difficulty. Got a couple of decent drops. Made stealth. Got a decent shield. Nothing amazing. The biggest thing was a couple of set items. I'm also going to make the leaf staff in just a moment, which is another critical early game item for a Fireball sorceress. I'll show you how to make that. You do want to keep an eye out for like 2-socket armors, 2-socket staffs with good stats, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. 2-socket helms for lore. You can actually get pretty well equipped just by running Countess a few times and getting the right runes for normal difficulty. And if you bugged Andariel, you could actually get some decent drops if you want to run her a couple of times before you move on to the later acts. It'll make your job a little bit easier. Okay, by level 30, this is kind of what my skill tree normally is going to look like. Between 5 and 10 in Firebolt for the synergy to Fireball and just to help with low level gameplay. Fireball, just putting points in there basically until you hit level 30. And from there you transition to Frozen Orb. So you're going to have 1 point in all of your prerequisites. And from level 30 on, I usually max Frozen Orb. So when I'm entering Hell difficulty around level 60 or so, I've got a maxed Frozen Orb, a few points in Cold Mastery, Critical Lightning, and I'm starting to max Fireball and its synergies at that point. This is usually what my tree looks like. You might put a point into Warmth, but something around like this by the time you're at level 30 and you're transitioning to Frozen Orb. And then by the time you're 40, and I'll show you that in a moment, you've got more points in Frozen Orb and any extra in your Fireball. But I'm going to show you how to search for the staff to make leaf. Now you'll notice that there's no pathway through here. What you're going to want to do is restart your game until you get a map layout with an opening here. And I'm going to restart and show you that next. And then we're going to move on to Nightmare and Hell difficulty. And I'm going to show you how this character performs in those difficulties. I have a whole video showing Act 1 and Act 2 with this character already if you want to see that. I'm going to link it here. And then I'm going to show you Nightmare and Hell difficulty and taking on Andariel on a character that has just reached those difficulties with an approximate gear of a character that just reached those difficulties. One key item that you're going to want to get on an early sorceress, especially a fire or fireball sorceress, is a leaf staff. And the easiest way to do that is to come to Act 2 and find where the level spawns with the entrance right near Drognin here, and he's got a ton of staffs. If he doesn't have the one you want, run out of town, run back in town, his inventory resets. What I usually do is just look for anything with 2 sockets. If I don't see 2 sockets, I don't even stop on it. And there, that's interesting. That's not that useful for a fireball sorceress, and also you do need a good amount of gold saved up. But if you do this enough, you're going to find one that has like +3 to fireball, maybe +3 to warmth. And you can get from your leaf staff then +6 to fireball, +6 to warmth, something like that. It's really awesome. And within just a couple of runs, I found one that had +1 to fireball. Not perfect, but it was only 8,000 gold and will let me continue on my journey. You can keep doing this for, hours trying to get a +3. Another thing you could shop for is something that has like plus static shock, plus teleport, plus frozen armor. Something that'll save you a couple of skill points is another alternative. I'm going to go ahead and make a leaf. So I now have +4 to fireball and +6 to warmth from my staff. Not bad for Act 2 normal difficulty. Okay, so here is my Meteorb sorceress at level 40, basically on reaching nightmare difficulty. I'm gonna go through where the skills are at and the gear. I'm trying to keep this somewhat realistic for what you could potentially get having just entered nightmare. The spirit sword is probably the most difficult thing to get, just because getting a 4-socket sword and the Am rune can take some difficulty. Am can drop from your quest drop from normal Countess, and you can get it pretty easily from Nightmare Countess or from the Hellforge quest in normal difficulty. Keep any crystal swords you find, and you can use your quest to socket it for sockets usually. And then Talthol or Am, and you've got Spirit, one of the best early weapons for a sorceress. I did not include the Spirit shield because 4-socket shields are pretty hard to combine. You're probably not getting it till Hell. So I got an Ancient Pledge here, which is a really good early shield that you can make with just the runes that you get from the Act 5 quest. I've got Lore, Ort, Soul, also 2 pretty low runes, and by the time you're into Nightmare, this should be pretty easy to put together. Stealth. I'm still using Stealth, though I did upgrade it to a light plate on this character. And then I'm just imagining, like, I farmed probably Mephisto a few times, and I got, maybe a couple of normal unique items and just some rares that I had gambled. Nothing amazing, just kind of theory crafting on what maybe I got, and then just some craft gloves. On this character I didn't have the best luck. So at this point I've only got, minimal plus skills, +3 to all skills or something, but this should be enough to clear Andariel without too much difficulty in Nightmare difficulty. And I basically got the critical points in Lightning. I've got Fireball pushed pretty hard, and then just minimal everywhere else. But once I hit 30, I started maxing Frozen Orb, and this is as many points as I can have into it at level 40, basically. So I've got Frozen Orb, and I've got a couple points in Cold Mastery, and primarily in Nightmare I'm going to be using Frozen Orb, and then as I hit level 50 and I max Frozen Orb, then I'm going to go back to maxing my Fireball synergies. And see how well this goes. I do have pretty good resist because of that Ancient Pledge. And even at, only 197 damage, Frozen Orb really rips through everything. And my Mercenary also is very poorly equipped. He's got, I think, yeah, I don't even have armor on him. Yeah, just some... Oh, yeah, I threw that on because I didn't have any other helm to put on him, but not great gear by any means. And you really don't run into many immunities in Nightmare difficulty still, so you can kind of just burn through this for the most part. Fireball is pretty effective too, you can cycle through it. My Fireball does more than my Frozen Orb at this stage of the game. But Frozen Orb is nice because of how big of an area it hits. And with the timer on Frozen Orb, like, you're not going to run out of mana much. Now, you don't have to wait until 40 to hit Nightmare. I usually do it like high 30s when I'm doing this like for real and not trying to do like a speed run. You want to open chest as you move along. They have pretty good drop chance, especially when you're like a new character and you're really using kind of crap gear. Frozen Orb really does massacre in Nightmare difficulty. Took a bunch of fireballs to the face and almost died. Let's grab some potions. I really tried to play this as close to, like, my characters are typically when I hit Nightmare as I can, like untwinked. And I think I didn't cheat too much. I think this is pretty realistic for what to expect as far as performance when you just hit Nightmare on a Meteorb sorceress. I should have put these on my build, but I did not. But really, not having too much difficulty doing Andariel. I didn't have a lot of points in Cold Mastery. Definitely use more. Andariel's got some decent cold resist.
Not enough mana.
And for single target. Ooh, a unique ring. Holy crap. Okay, so my imaginary sorceress has now reached hell difficulty. I just want to go quickly through the gear that I've assembled here. I don't think any of this is too outlandish for what you could have by the time you're about level 65 and entering hell difficulty. Still using the Spirit Sword. It's going to be a while before I probably would upgrade this unless I get a really lucky drop in Nightmare. Peasant's Crown, a pretty common drop from Mephisto or Bale. Ivet Lich, the same thing, just a kind of a low level plus skill. You could also probably just get a gambled magical, or if you're lucky, a rare ring. This is probably the hardest thing to obtain on this character. The 4-socket shield is kind of hard to come by. I might have had to trade for this, or maybe I got lucky upon entering hell. But this is probably the most difficult thing to get. Skin the Viper Magi, just a decent Nightmare drop. Same for Frostburn. Just a FCR ring, random resistance ring. This is my imagine, like, good drop from one of the end bosses. Usually you get one decent drop through Nightmare. And some okay boots. Nothing amazing. I think I've got, like, +7 to all right now, which, when you hit hell, isn't too outlandish, I think. By this point, I would have maxed Frozen Orb, put a few points in Cold Mastery, 1 point everywhere else here. I probably should have put one in Frozen Armor, but I did not on this run. Core Lightning skills, again. By this point, I've maxed Fireball. I've started to max Meteor. My Fireball's doing about 2k damage. Frozen Orb's doing 400-ish, though really you multiply this by like 5 to 10 to get you a real number, depending on how many targets and how well you're hitting with it. And what I'm going to do is see if I can run Andariel in hell difficulty with a character, who just entered the hell difficulty. Kind of starting gear. Now, I'm clearly going to take longer than, my normal characters who are level 99 and, like, super well equipped and everything. But, it's still relatively easy with, even with starter gear. This is a pretty, I think, efficient build. And just to show you, I'm not really using like crazy gear here on the mercenary. Ooh, that's a lot of guys. Doing some reckless teleporting here. 2 minion packs like right on top of each other. Good sign. And they're fire immune, so I can't even like alternate between fireball and frozen orb. Fortunately, there are a ton of fire immune in Act 1, and then specifically in the catacombs. There we go. And if I was just farming Andy like I had bugged her, I would probably just teleport directly to her. Get all these rejuve potions as I go. It is a bit more dangerous to blindly teleport at this gear level, especially without frozen armor on, but it's a risk I'm going to take. Especially with this level of FCR. It's not nothing with the spirits and everything, but it's not optimal, for sure. Ah, man. Saw that coming. It's alright, I didn't need him. Those frozen orb skills are coming back to me. I really hate these afflicted. They're maybe one of my least favorite enemies in the game. Okay. So one trick you can do, literally, you can just teleport right here over the wall. And avoid a lot of the enemies. I don't do it in a lot of my videos because I feel like it's more cinematic to actually do it properly. Probably should have gone and got my Merc, but you know what? I like to live dangerously. I should probably throw in some fireballs in there because it does good damage on single targets. Don't get hit with that. Just trying to get some room. Clear the room. And there you go. Andariel in Hell difficulty with relatively newbie-ish gear. If this was my first kill, of course, I would have taken her portal, immediately gone to Wuriv, and gone east, and that will bug her and give you good drops every time. Okay, so that was Andariel in Hell difficulty with relatively low gear. Character just entering Hell difficulty, theoretically. If you've got any thoughts on this, feel free to leave a comment below. I do have also some videos of Meteorb sorceresses at level 99 with high level gear if you want to see what an endgame sorceress might look like. And this video progressed from, mid-normal difficulty to starting Nightmare to starting Hell, and then you can watch those videos if you'd like to see what a fully geared Meteorb sorceress looks like. This is the build I think I'm going to start with when Diablo 2 Resurrected comes out. It's a build I enjoy quite a bit. If you've got any thoughts, leave a comment below, and if you like what I'm putting out there, why don't you subscribe? I would very much appreciate it. Thanks again for watching. Have a good night, everyone.